Monica from the Nourished Caveman and the Healing Foods Method, and thank you for joining me here today. Today, I received a couple of emails from one of my readers, and she asked me about weight loss. I'm going to read you a little bit from her email because I wanted to reply to her, and then I realized that the response of what I really think was going to be too long. And instead of writing her a long email, I say, okay, I'm going to make her a little video. And then I decided that the video about weight loss was probably going to be interesting for more than one person. And I think that this topic is very relevant for all of you who are doing keto or any kind of diet that is based on weight loss. Weight loss for so many people is the tip of the iceberg, and it's also our motivation for doing so many things. As a woman, it's really important to want to feel good in your body. You want to feel good about yourself, and the first place where we look at is our weight because of all the conditioning and all the media, everything we see outside of ourselves. We want to make sure that we fit good in our skin. And also, so many people think that weight loss is the key to health. And this is the point that I really want to address here with you today about weight loss and health, because I hear it from one person after the other. If I could just lose those 20, 30, 40 pounds, then I know I'm going to be healthier. And I want to speak to that because I know that that is a big point for all of you who are following my page, following my work, and watching this right now. And by the way, sorry, I'm trying to get comfy here. By the way, this is a really important topic for me that I speak about all the time, but I really wanted to take this specific case of this reader because I think you guys will resonate with it. It's going to be something that a lot of different people will resonate, and you ask the same questions to yourself. So she writes, and we'll call my reader Mary, just to give her a name. It was a different name, but let's keep it anonymous. Mary says, I've been keto for 4 weeks with no weight loss. 4 weeks. I'm tracking my macros, and most days I find it tough to get in all the fat. I just made fat bombs today. I'm staying under 20 grams of carbs every day. In the past month, I've had wine on 3 occasions. I'm currently 145 pounds, will be happy girl if I could drop 10, 15 pounds. I'm 65 years young and get my 10,000 steps in every day. I start my day with a rocket fuel latte most mornings, sometimes 16 ounces. That holds me until about 2 p.m., so she's intermittent fasting every day. My husband has dropped 3 pounds this week. I do all the cooking, so we eat the same foods. Looking for advice or suggestions. So what's going on here? Her husband is losing weight and she's not. She's 65 years old, so we can safely assume that Mary is postmenopausal. Why is she not losing weight? She's looking at what? She's looking at her macros. She's talking about being under 20 grams of carbs. She's looking at her fat intake. And she's looking at her exercise. In fact, she wrote me another post email to specify about 10,000 steps a day. I work at Home Decor store 3 times a week, lifting furniture, every boxes. I walk several times a week. I don't utilize the gym, but I live across the park and love to walk in the park. So she's talking to me about the macros, her weight, her age, and her exercise. I would love for you guys, if anybody's watching right now and you like to chime in, can you think about what is missing from this picture? What's missing from this mystery of missing weight loss? But what kind of data is missing here that we need to extrapolate a conclusion of why you're not losing weight? Because I know that all of you doing keto or starting keto, have done keto for a while, You've probably been on forums and you've been in different groups and you've tried different things. And in the groups, when you see a post like this and you chime in, what are you kind of answer you're going to give? Like, what's your protein intake like? Or have you tried intermittent fasting? Or, how many calories are you eating per day? Those are all the kind of answers that I see over and over and over in all the keto groups. And they go really deep into those details. And it's like, why don't you try raising your fat? Why don't you try lowering your protein? Why don't you try changing your macros a little bit? Have you tried intermittent fasting? She's already doing that. Are you doing, what are you doing in the morning? What are you eating? But those are not even the questions, but like, what do you think it's missing here from this picture? Anybody? And she's 65 years old again. And, her macros seem to be keto macros. Oh, she also mentioned that she has not been able to achieve ketosis. And I think that is a really good piece of data. But think about it with me. What would you like to know? Anybody wants to chime in? I know there is somebody watching this video, so come on, ladies. Give me your 2 cents. Because I am about to tell you what I think, but it would be really helpful for me to hear what you think about this case. Because if it was you, what would you do? What kind of advice would you give to this person? And why would you think she cannot lose weight? Her husband is losing weight. He dropped 3 pounds in a week. That's pretty good, right? And she's doing keto. How come she's not in ketosis? Have you tried to do keto and had the same problem? And under 20 grams of carbs, that's pretty low, because a healthy, normal person should be able to be in plenty of ketosis under 20 grams. So how come she's not in ketosis? Any ideas? I know there are 10 people watching here, so come on. Well, if you're don't be shy, by the way. It's just us. It's just me, Viveka, and you, my dear, most beloved readers and audience. So let me tell you what I think about this. As a practitioner, as somebody who has done keto for about 5 years now, and like I've done it very strictly at the beginning. For 1 year, I was really strict with my keto. And then after that, I have kind of varied my ketogenic diet depending on my needs. I'm 50 years old and I'm just entering menopause, so I'm not officially in menopause yet. So I'm officially still in perimenopause, which is a little bit of a different situation than what our friend Mary is talking about with her situation. But there are some really important pieces of information here that are missing from her picture. The first one is her health. So everybody that comes to me and say, if I could just drop 10, 15 pounds, I'll be healthy. You know what that means? That means that you are putting the cart in front of the horse. And thinking, that kind of thinking is what gets us in trouble in the first place, because we cannot measure health by weight loss. It's exactly the other way around. Weight loss is a product of health. And I know that you don't want to hear that. A lot of you don't want to hear that, because it's a lot easier to focus the problem on the weight loss and focus outside. We do that in so many different ways, especially as women. We try to focus our attention outside on external factors and try to make those external factors be the determining, changing element of everything that we want to change. And it's like we get this laser focus, almost obsessive laser focus on the external factors. And in this case, weight loss is a big one. And if we look at those roots, and the roots, like weight loss is the tip of the iceberg, and we go down into the actual body of the iceberg, which is much bigger, what do we find there? So the first thing is that it's the other way around. Weight loss is a product of health. If your body is unhealthy, it's going to hold on to weight. And the most simplest reason for that is because we store toxins in fat. That's where our body basically puts all the toxic, nasty material that we pick up in the environment that we cannot deal with, that's going to make us sick and kill us. The body has a very efficient protective mechanism to save your life. And so it stores the heavy metals, the chemicals, the pesticides, the drugs, and the food toxins, all that stuff that comes in processed foods that is making us sick and killing us slowly. The body does not want to die. So what does it do? It does the same like we do for toxic dumps. It stores it away and pretends it's not there. It almost pretends it's not there, but different than the toxic dump for nuclear waste, your body's toxic dump is very visible because it's like right here, or it's like right here, or it's like right here, or is you're behind. Those are the places that your body is storing toxins. When your body is toxic, it will not be able to lose weight because it will make you sick. And a lot of you who have experienced fast weight loss and got to not feeling so great and started experiencing either a flare-up of all symptoms or different symptoms, new symptoms coming up from, losing weight, know that weight loss is not so straightforward. So this is my number one reason. This is what it's a big giant piece of information that's missing. And that would be taking a good case history for this person and going back in her life and starting to understand the possibilities for exposure to chemicals, heavy metals, toxins, viruses, bacteria, infections. Infections are toxic, are toxins, but also they produce toxic byproducts that get stored in the body. And they will affect everything, starting from your digestion, hey Kayla, and going on to your digestive system, very important, your liver biliary functions, overwhelming your liver, making your liver congested, and starting that chain reaction, that domino effect that will affect your endocrine system. And as a woman, and I'm talking mostly to women here, if you haven't got the importance of your endocrine system yet, well, it's time to wake up to the reality that hormones is what rules our bodies as women. Hormones are the signalers, the regulators, starting with our thyroid, which is the master gland and regulator of so many bodily functions. And it's all connected. So when we talk about metabolism, and metabolism is our ability to burn calories, our ability to regulate our body mass and weight with the amount of energy that we are able to consume, that is regulated by hormones as well, like insulin. We all have talked so much about insulin resistance. And we all know about insulin resistance and keto and how keto is beneficial for reversing insulin resistance. Guess what? That is connected to your whole endocrine system. And guess what else? 1 month of keto is not going to reverse your insulin resistance. So if our friend Mary, that we just read her case, comes from a lifelong abuse of carbohydrates, and she comes from undetected insulin resistance that could be very high. I had super high insulin resistance, and it was only about, well, maybe at the maximum 20 pounds overweight at my heaviest. It's not a lot. I could not lose weight, and my insulin resistance was really high when I started keto. And it took me 1 year of being really strict on keto to be able to lower that insulin resistance. How did I know? Because my blood sugars were not coming down and they were steady high. And, also like by my blood work and looking at insulin itself, we can extrapolate and understand the function of insulin resistance in our body. So that is factor number 2. So first one was toxicity and how we store toxins in our fat. Number 2 is hormones. And the hormonal cascade that crosses over from the endocrine part of, sex hormones, stress hormones to metabolism via insulin. Insulin is the bridge. It's what crosses over. And when our livers are congested, guess what happens? That all the hormones get out of whack, all of them. And another thing that we need to consider about insulin resistance is general hormone resistance. And here, talking about hormones again, there is the leftovers of estrogen dominance. So, a lifelong estrogen dominance, once we transition into menopause, of course, estrogen will go down. And we will probably, even if we didn't, do anything about the changing hormones, so we didn't take creams or bioidentical or all the things that we do to minimize the symptoms, we still have the leftovers effects of a lifelong estrogen dominance. So estrogen dominance, whoops, hi, nice background, got into the cable. Estrogen dominance and insulin resistance go hand in hand, and they are like this, they influence each other. So they come together. When you're estrogen dominant, you will become insulin resistant much easier, and vice versa. So, yeah, clumsy Viveka. So, the factor number 2 that is missing in her picture of why she doesn't lose weight is hormones. Are there other factors? Do we really want to go deep? Are you guys interested? I can go deep. I can go deeper, because these root causes are not the whole story. There is more. Yes, there is always more. The body is complex. The body is interesting. The body is like the most beautiful, fascinating puzzle and miracle, because it never ceases to fascinate you of the abilities to heal and also to fend off disease. What else? What else can there be? Something that we've been talking about, and it's coming up in the circles of women especially, and women interested about healing, and it's the real root cause of disease, which is emotions and trauma. And I've been talking about it more and more in my practice, in my work with my patients. But there is, at the base, for me, at the base of all disease, of all imbalances, especially for female hormone imbalances and reproductive issues, is female trauma. Meaning trauma like core wounds that we carry mostly from childhood, sometimes before conception. And we can, if you think about it, one of my friends told me something really interesting the other day, that when you are in your mother's, you are an egg in your mother's body. You are already present as an egg in your mother's body when she is still in the womb of your grandmother. So anything traumatic that happened to your grandmother can have affected you at a DNA level. And this is not woo-woo, sorry, you guys, everybody's messaging right now. This is not woo-woo, fluffy science. This is real science, you guys. This is science that now, with all the studies in the DNA, it's really, we're starting to understand how our DNA is transmitted, what we carry with our genes, and how it's possible to affect the DNA through epigenetics. I always tell my patients, the DNA is not the Rosetta Stone. It's not written in stone. It's not a thing that is just there and is unchangeable, unmutable. We can switch genes on and off. There is such a thing called gene replication, where mutations happen. And mutations are not necessarily a bad thing. They can be actually positive, or they can be negative. So your DNA could have already been altered as you were just a little egg in your mom's body, and as she was in utero. So think about the repercussions and what we carry inside ourselves that we don't even barely start to understand. So next time that you're faced with such a dilemma, and you're like, oh shit, I can't lose weight, it's driving me crazy, I have tried almost everything. What have you really tried? Have you looked behind, under the surface? Because let's be honest, are you ready to look under the surface? And if you are not, you should maybe ask yourself, this is just an invitation, ask yourself, what is my resistance? What's my resistance? Why am I just focusing so desperately on these outside factors and not wanting to look what is actually the opportunity to resolve the issues? This is an invitation for thinking, and an invitation for you to just take stock of your health, take responsibility, take it in your hands, because that's a true empowerment. As a woman, going out to the doctor and from doctor to doctor, or from, practitioner to practitioner even, might not solve your problems until you're ready to look within and to look could be the real causes of my tip of the iceberg, of my failed weight loss. So this is just my invitation for you, and I hope I got enough stuff out here to make you think and wonder, and I hope this information was helpful for you. I'm here for any questions. If you want to ask me any questions at this point or later, you can post under my video, and I will be sharing this video here on the page and on my groups and possibly on other channels. So whichever way you get to this video, please feel free to ask me questions. You can email me, like a reader, Mary. You can email me at vivica@thenourishcaveman.com. And my blog is The Nourished Caveman, of course. And also I am on YouTube. I am on Instagram, here on Facebook. And also I have a newsletter that I've been sending out every week, talking about such topics as keto, but not only keto. There is so much more than just keto. Keto is like one little tool in our toolbox that we can use for weight loss, for health, for true well-being, and really optimal, like how do we exist in this world right now as women and embrace what our possible optimum is. Thank you so much for watching and joining me today for this Facebook Live. It's been a minute, but life takes over sometimes. So thank you for following me, and please ask all the questions that you need. Have a great rest of your day and great weekend coming up. And I will be seeing you soon here on Facebook and on my other channels.